What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers, here to talk some draft. Gents, we doing all right this evening?
Yes.
Jacob,
yeah,
as
I was saying right before we went live, it is out of nowhere. It just started snowing like crazy in Wisconsin, where I'm at.
Did you hear him clean that up, Tim?
Yeah.
Did you hear him clean it up, Tim? He said it's snowing. It's snowing like crazy out here, right? Appreciate that,
put
Jacob.
that name in my mouth right there.
There you go.
All right. Let's get into it, boys. We've got a lot to cover this evening. Let's jump over to the Patreon group. We had a couple of comments, a couple of questions here coming in from Chris N. We'll start with this one here because we've got a little bit of a deep dive put together for his other question. All right. He says, Travis Hunter, don't you think he'll ultimately choose wide receiver over cornerback just based on earning potential and career length? Top of the market is 40 plus for wide receivers, 30 for cornerback, I believe. Plus, typical career length is a little longer than cornerback. I don't understand why so many are projecting him as a corner. Let me know your thoughts. I could be missing something obvious to you. Appreciate it there, Chris. Yeah, so I was listening to Greg Cosell the other day, and he said everyone that he spoke to going into the draft see Travis Hunter as a cornerback first, and they'll probably put wide receiver packages in for him. Now, the other thing you got to step back and look at too, Chris, is what did he go to the combine as a corner? Why did he do that? Because his representatives got feedback from the rest of the league, and they suggested, hey, you're going to want to go in as a corner. Your value is not near as high as a wide receiver as it is a cornerback. That's the word on the street. Now, we know there's some Lions seasons, some fun and games going on there we always talk about, but that's essentially what it came down to. Tim, you got anything to add to that? Jacob as well there with Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I think Travis Hunter, is talented as he is, obviously top-tier prospect. It's his best foot forward to go in as a corner. I mean, you can debate the wide receiver talent pool in this draft, but there's a lot of names at wide receiver in this draft class. And, there's a lot of corners too, but as far as top-tier talent at corner, it's kind of slim pickings. So I really think that, he'd best serve himself by going in as a corner. And then, any team that drafts him, you get a, bonus basically of having a backup receiver / return man, and then you've got a starting caliber corner. So I think it makes sense. I mean, I haven't really seen the full breakdown of him, as far as a wideout. I've seen a few highlight reels, but at the end of the day, like, corner seems to be his strong suit, and that's how you should probably go into the draft if you're young talent.
I could see him possibly doing it in spurts or in certain situations, or maybe being more kind of like a dummy package guy on certain packages on offense. But like you said, I mean, it's just tough. I will say, though, I think I listened to an interview where they asked him if he thought he could play both ways. And he's like, yeah, I know I could, with how many breaks are in the NFL nowadays, and compared to the way that the tempo was when in Colorado there, where he would actually, they played pretty up tempo both sides, and he'd have to kind of, he'd be on the sidelines for maybe 10 to 20 seconds. I mean, whereas in the NFL, you got your 30-minute breaks, you got your commercial breaks, you got, referee timeouts, all that kind of stuff. It would be interesting just to even see if it's possible nowadays to have kind of that flashback. They don't make guys like Buckets Goldenberg anymore.
That's a fact. You don't believe me? Look at the backside. You know what I'm saying? That's the indicator there. Let's see your Mountain Man Pack. Good evening, Posse. Go Pack, go. Daddy, Soda, Fire Pit, and this crappy show. What else can you ask for? Hey, man,
that's how you do it right there.
Wonderful world right there, let me tell you. All right, so the next question here. Chris N says, can you please explain why height within reason matters with O-linemen? Say a 6'5" guy versus 6'1". I don't understand. Isn't getting low under the pads the O-lineman go? I think it's a fascinating question. And what I did was I'm like, I'm going to remove my bias at all. And I'm just going to jump in and do research is the way that we approach this. Okay. And here's what we came up with. We ended up putting an article together here over on Patreon. You guys probably already read it. That's in our Patreon group. And here's what the article says, why height matters. The NFL's preference for tall offensive linemen, right? It says, in NFL scouting, height is a key factor for offensive linemen, with the modern prototype averaging 6'5", over 300 pounds. Scouts prioritize taller players, typically 6'4" to 6'8" for tackles, slightly shorter for guards and centers, for their edge in the trenches. But why the bias and who's defied it? This article explores why height matters and highlights two standout all-pros under 6'4" since the year 2000. So obviously starting off here, we got Jonathan Ogden. This isn't one of the two, obviously. You see this mountain of a man, right? Look at him standing around everybody else. Absolutely huge, right? Hall of Famer, obviously. The case for height. Scouts favor taller linemen for practical reasons. First, height pairs with long arms, often 34 inches or more for top tackles, letting them engage defenders sooner and control pass rushers. Critical against speedy edge threats like Myles Garrett, who stands at 6'4", what it says here. Second, taller frames help anchor against power rushes and fill space in the run game, matching the growing size of defensive ends, some near 6'7". Height isn't everything, but it's a filter scouts use to match the game's physical demands. When you blend height and skill, you end up with who some consider the greatest offensive lineman of all time in Jonathan Ogden. Look at his RAS.
Look at that freaking RAS score.
Knuckle Green out here, 6'8", 318 pounds, 30 bench press reps, vertical of 31 inches, broad jump of 905, 40-yard dash of 512, with a 20-yard split of 298 and a 10-yard split of 180. Those arms, 34.13 inches long, and his hand size, 10.6.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of green on that chart right there.
There's a lot of green, Tim, a lot of green. So that's just one example, right? So what I did was I went in and using AI and other search engines, I'm trying to find all right, who have been the good players that are under 6'2" or 6'4"? I'm sorry. So who have been under 6'2" and had good careers since the year 2000? Because you can get back to the 80s, the 70s, the 60s and find them all day long, right? But obviously the game has evolved, has changed. So here are the players defying the trend, all pros under 6'4". Okay, since 2000, only two offensive linemen under 6'4" have earned first-team All-Pro honors, proving skill can outweigh size. Jason Kelsey at 6'3". With the Eagles from 2011 to 2023, Kelsey earned 6 first-team All-Pro nods and a Super Bowl title. His agility and smarts made him elite despite his height. So you see his RAS card, it's a 950, even though he came in at 6'2" and a half, I guess is what that is. That scored a 3.27. His weight was only 280 pounds. Now, remember Willie Lampkin?
Yep.
You're just talking about 3 pounds difference there, right? So I'm just saying it's a name to keep an eye on with what Emery Hunt said.
Wasn't Willie 5'11" though, too?
What's that?
I think Willie was 5'11", so he's got
I think he actually might have been 5'10".
I think that's right.
He's extremely short. Explosion grade, 30.5 inches on the vertical, as well as 902 on the broad. Lampkin just kicked the rock. A 40-yard dash of 493, 20-yard split of 289, 10-yard split of 176, a shuttle of 414, and a three-cone of 722. So the point there is he may not have been tall enough, actually coming in somewhere between 6'2" and 6'3", but he had elite speed, agility, and explosion, right? So you better be able to make up for that height somewhere else. Does that make sense, Tim? And does this catch you off guard that Jason Kelsey's one of those players? I know it didn't me when I seen him down. He's dominant.
No, yeah. You look at the skill, and the attributes, the ability, height and weight is, kind of tough to control. I mean, some guys, the weight is harder to keep off or put on than others. But you knew this guy had the measurables to be an all-pro for sure. So yeah, it's funny to bring up Lampkin for real because, the argument is there, right? Like just because you're a little short, little stout, doesn't necessarily mean you can't play at the next level. I mean, I think Kelsey is proof of that, right?
Yeah. Gosh, it's kind of crazy. I'm just looking at Willie's Lampkin's stats here. I mean, the guy's graded out very, very well. He's gotten better every single year. He was a 71.7 in 22, 76.2 in 23, and an 85.6 in 2024. It looks like he plays predominantly all the games. Maybe missed one or two. He's only allowed 1 sack his whole career, only 5 hits his whole career. He has a zone grade of 90.4, gap grade of 75.9, pass blocking grade of 88.8, and a run blocking grade of 87.6. And get this. In 2024, he played almost 900 snaps at right guard. In 2023, he played significant snaps at left guard, center, and right guard. And in 2022, played almost 900 snaps at center. Just saying. Just saying.
Dog. Listen, that's one of those guys I am rooting for. I hope he gets drafted. I don't care if it's in the 7th round, and I hope he just comes out like gangbusters in the training camp there, man. Willie, the little teapot Lampkin, says Prince.
Here's the guy.
That's a pissed off teapot when you get him in the trenches. I guarantee it. Another one was Will Shields. It shows him at 6'3" again here. It says 6'3", but the RAS card is a little bit different. Active with the Chiefs from 93 to 06. Shields nabbed 3 first-team All-Pros, 2 post-2000, a Hall of Famer. His leverage shown in the early 2000s. I didn't realize he was a Hall of Famer. That might be inaccurate there, Mr. AI. We need to check that. Somebody fact check that for me. Is Will Shields a Hall of Famer?
Could be a crackhead.
You okay over there, Jacob? You good, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
They got hold to the wrong stuff.
All right. So it says these outliers contrast with history's shorter All-Pros like John Hanna, 6'2", common when linemen average 6'2". Today's 6'5" norm makes Kelsey and Shields rare exceptions. So I thought, let's throw in a little mix here. Let's talk about Zach Tom. All right. Green Bay Packers stud right tackle Zach Tom is a great example of how a player right on the cusp of being considered too short can overcome through skill and athletic quickness. Although he meets the minimum height requirements mentioned above, his 6'4", 304 frame and 24 bench reps were non-factors because of his elite explosion. That's obviously the combination of vertical and broad jump. His speed, the 40-yard dash, which mimics. I hear people say, "I could care less what the offensive lineman runs a 40 in." It's measuring how fast their feet are, is what it's doing. Like it's letting you know if someone can run a fast 40 as an offensive lineman, you don't need him to get to 20 mile an hour. But if he's got fast feet, guess what? You can work on the technical aspect of the game, right? And it says agility, shuttle, and 3-cone allows him to reset that disadvantage through technique. So when you look at his RAS card here with Zach Tom, a 9.59, his height at 6'4", only scored him a 1.57. His weight, 304, scored a 3.73. Bench press of 24 reps, only a 6.54. But again, look at the explosion grade. 33-inch vertical, scoring him a 9. Broad jump of 9.10, scoring him almost damn near a 10. His composite speed grade being elite of 4.9440 with a 2.83 20-yard split, a 1.63 10-yard split. And, of course, with the agility grade being elite, his shuttle was 4.47, 3-cone, 7.32. So, again, just another example of like, hey, you don't have to be a monster, but that 6'4", man, that's kind of that sweet spot. Now, I honestly don't think general managers are going into the draft going, they've got to be this tall. There's no way they can't play. It's just your hit rate is going to be way higher if you focus on those guys that are 6'4" and above. Does that make sense, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think looking at the card too, it's a good glimpse into why we see Goody making the picks that he makes, right? We talk about the infatuation with the RAS score. Here's a great example, right? We hit on Zach Tom. He was 5th round pick, right? 5th or 6th?
Fourth. I thought it was a 4th.
Yeah. I think he was 4th.
Okay, so not a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd rounder, right? By any means. But I think if you look back now, we're all happy with how he turned out. We're talking about giving this guy the bag, right? One of the best right tackles in the league. So yeah, I think it's important that sometimes you glance over that height, weight, and your strength, your benching ability, and you look at some of these other grades, and it helps you get a beat on a player. And hopefully you find that value in the mid to late rounds like Goody consistently does. So this is awesome.
Yeah.
4th round, Fred McFarley at 140 overall. Makes a lot of sense.
And just to round back.
Thank you, Chris. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, just to round back, Willie Shields was inducted into the 2015 class of Hall of Fame.
There you go. AI wins again.
He was the best guy around.
What's crazy? Look at I didn't realize Zach Tom had such massive hands. You look at even compared to Jonathan Ogden, he's like a split, like a 1/10 of an inch away from him.
How about these hands?
You're right, man. 10.3 for Zach Tom, 10.6 for Jonathan Ogden. You're right. That's great.
Huge.
Really is. All right. You know what they say about big hands, gentlemen?
Big gloves.
That's right. Height versus skill. Height gives linemen an edge in today's bigger, faster NFL, but Kelsey and Shields show that technique and tenacity can compete. Scouts lean on height as a shortcut, yet the tape proves greatness doesn't always measure up. However, we cannot deny the fact that only 2 offensive linemen under 6'4" have earned All-Pro honors in the last 25 years. So I thought that'd be a cool little deep dive. Again, shout out to Chris for kind of getting the gears turning. And, you always hear people talk about this stuff, and you never really kind of dig in and go, how many people actually had great success in the league at that high? There you go, only 2 in the last quarter century. So anything you guys want to wrap up with there on that topic?
I mean, it does kind of highlight the absolute mountain that a guy like a Willie Lampkin would have to climb over to actually have success in this league. So it does. I'm not going to say that that it's impossible, but when you look at those types of numbers, especially how you talked about how the game's progressed, it's not your 5'10" to 6'1" guys anymore. It's 6'4" to 6'8". I mean, absolute monsters of men that are actually agile and mobile and fast. It's just it's a whole different ball game. But I don't know I would definitely like to see. I'm going to watch where he ends up, where he goes, and how his career progresses, because it would be fun.
It is. It's going to be a blast, man. Same thing with Jaden Higgins. If he somehow, some way doesn't end up being a Packer, Tim, we're going to be following him the whole way, ain't we, man? Just to see how he does, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He'll always have an eye on him. Hopefully he's a Packer, though. You never know.
All right. Fred McFarley says Scott Wells was 6'1", and it was so cool hearing Mark Tauscher talk about Scott Wells. I think it was Tauscher. Either Tauscher or Belay. I think it was Tauscher. He didn't make the original roster. Scott Wells did. And they put him on the practice squad, and they said Tauscher made it sound like he wouldn't talk to anybody in the locker room. He was madder than hell. Scott Wells was a different animal, right? Now, again, he never made All-Pro. He never made a Pro Bowl, but he did anchor that offensive line that went to a Super Bowl, right? That won a Super Bowl. So it's very important to mention.
It's important to give those guys their just dues, right? You don't have to be an All-Pro to play, mistake-free football and be consistent, on that line for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I seen you mark that one, Jacob Princeton. I want to see Willie Lampkin go up against a 464-pound guy from Florida just for science. Call Dr. Fauci.
Have you guys highlighted him? I can't remember. I know that it was brought up on Packer Night After Dark. Somebody mentioned it, but would you be okay with maybe taking a 7th or UDFA shot at that dude? I believe he's 6'6". 464 pounds.
For entertainment purposes, I would let him know, listen, we're going to draft you, bro. So come on into Green Bay and be at the draft party, and we're going to have you run the 40 on day 1 at Titletown, just so we can all get it on tape. All right. He could be a team.
Bring back the Gilbert Burger, man. Bring back the Gilbert Burger.
Watch somebody take a flyer on him, Tim, and he just come in the league kicking ass. Wouldn't that be awesome? Dude?
That would be amazing. I'd be all for it.
Oh, man.
I wouldn't bet on it, but it'd be awesome to see.
It would. Brett McFarley also says all-state wrestler Wells leverage. There you go. Wrestling is a big thing. Well, I'm telling you, if you guys hear any kind of background on wrestlers when it comes to the prospects that we've got on our board, let us know, because I'm telling you, it really, really translates.
Wrestlers, not wrestlers, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Jacob says the same thing. All right. Anything else on offensive lineman here before we move over to defensive tackle, gents?
No, I think we covered it.
All right, that's it. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers, not the Aaron Rodgers, but our Aaron Rodgers. Says, "What's up, posse? Got a job interview tomorrow." Let me tell you something, Aaron.
They probably both do, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna kick ass, bro. You're gonna crush it. That's what's gonna happen. All right. And thank you for the question that you provided. We're gonna get to that here in a little bit. That's why we're gonna try to go rapid fire tonight. We're gonna do a mock draft at the end using. Basically, we have to choose only players that the Packers visited with so far. Not top 30 visit, but just met with at some point throughout this process. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
that's awesome. Congrats on the job interview. Make sure before you go that you
wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, I was going to say don't let a really long fart go. That's the one thing you can't do. If we learn from Step Brothers.
That was hilarious, by the way, man.
I don't know what I'm saying.
The way it just hung on and everybody awkwardly looked at each other. He went, yep. Next.
Ketchup and onions.
Now let's pause for a second. So when we cut this next video, we're not talking about passing gas. All right. All right, guys, let's talk about defensive tackle now. So we put an article together here, ketchup and onion. Yep. I think you've already screwed it up. Let's talk defensive tackle here. An article we put together yesterday, kind of in the vein of us deep diving each position. So where defensive tackles sit on our big board. As the 2025 NFL draft nears the defensive line position boasts an exceptional mix of raw power, technical skill, and disruptive potential that NFL teams covet to fortify their fronts. Based on current evaluations and projections as of March 29th, 2025, here's a look at the standout defensive linemen in this year's class. Listed with their projected draft positions, these prospects have dazzled scouts with their physical attributes, college tape, and ability to dominate opposing offenses from various alignments along the line. Number one on our list, he's number 4 overall on our big board, is Mason Graham.
Here's the guy.
So 20, and you guys double check these stats. Again, we had AI pull them sometimes. It can pull them early in the season and not get the totals. So do your own research here. But 2024 stats, 3.5 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss. Michigan's Mason Graham measured at 6'3", 320 pounds at the 2025 NFL Combine, showcasing elite leverage and explosive power, a 2024 Rose Bowl defensive MVP. That stuff is important to me, man. Graham's ability to dominate both run and pass downs make him a top 10 lock and potential all-pro talent. There's no way that he falls to Green Bay at 23, but do you guys agree with me that he's the best defensive tackle in this draft? I mean, that's where he's at on our board. Or do you guys think that a case can be made for like a Walter Nolan or a Kenneth Graham?
I was just going to say, don't leave Walter Nolan out of the mix. I think there's maybe a handful you could argue would be kind of up there, but, you know, I'm with you. I think Graham's probably the best bet going forward. I hope we get him in the first round, but like you said, the likelihood he's there at 23 is pretty low. And I don't know how far up Goody would be willing to move up in the first round in general, let alone to grab a D tackle. So chances are he's not going to be a Packer, but that doesn't mean we can't do well at that position in the draft.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, his RAS card is incomplete. Jacob's 6'3". They're showing 296 at the combine. He was huge last year at Michigan. I remember Greg Cosell said on a podcast, he said, yeah, you know, when you watched him last year, he looked fat. I mean, I don't mean that in a derogatory way or anything. He immediately started backtracking. He looked huge, bro.
Sick.
Like Mason Graham's the best defensive tackle in this draft, Jake?
I probably would say that that's fair to say. It will be really interesting, though, because this is a deep D tackle class. I mean, obviously with Graham and guys like Nolan and Harmon, but even you look a little bit farther down, you could maybe see guys like, you know, Peebles and CJ West and a bunch of these other guys that could maybe really surprise a lot of people. But I mean, that'd be really fun to look in 2 years and see where this class of D tackles is at and who actually shined immediately and who was maybe more of a project type player. But at the moment, I think that that's a pretty safe bet.
Got it. All right. Number 13 on our big board and the second best defensive tackle in the draft, his teammate, Kenneth Grant. Notice it says DL3. Some people think he's just strictly a nose. Everything I've heard, he can play 3-tech. He's got the athleticism for it. You won't notice it on the RAS card, but I'm telling you, man, the big thing on him is his lateral agility and be able to move around as a big guy. But his 2024 stats that are listed here, first of all, his projected draft position is mid-first round, 3 sacks, 8.5 tackles for a loss. Michigan's Kenneth Grant stunned at the 2025 Combine with a 6'3", 335-pound frame and a sub 5.040 is what it says there, which is incorrect according to the chart here. I know some of that stuff went unconfirmed early on. It's probably what it pulled. A captain, Grant's ability to clog lanes and collapse pockets make him a mid-first round prize with raw pass rush upside hinting at stardom. So when you look at the official combine results here, 7'17", he's 6'3", 331 pounds, 22 on the bench press, 31-inch vertical, which is crazy at that weight. That is nuts. Broad jump of 809, 40-yard dash of 513, 20-yard split 301, 10-yard split 172, a shuttle of 476, and a 3-cone of 769. What do y'all think about Kenneth Grant here? Again, another one of those players that, as a matter of fact, he's on our poll question tonight. You guys make sure you go vote here on YouTube and on X. But
yeah,
Tim,
I voted for Kenneth Grant, by the way. Spoiler alert. Because I think, you know, of these two Michigan guys, he's probably the most likely to possibly be on the board at 23 for us. And there's a lot to like about him. And I want to go D-line early in this draft. I know I have made no secret about that. I think we got to get better in the trenches. We lost TJ Slayton. Kenny Clark is not getting any younger. You know, it's time to add some depth there. So I think Kenneth Grant is not completely out of the realm of possibility. being on the board, possibly in the first round. So that's a guy I probably look at a little more seriously than Mason Graham.
All right, Jacob, what do you think about Kenneth Grant? Would you be okay with him at 23, man?
I would. I don't know how realistic that is. It is another situation too where you look at the D line, and when you have two guys that are that great, that big, right next to each other, which one of them was actually the superior prospect. Obviously, we're not going to know that for probably a few years, but he's definitely intriguing, and I think it would help bolster that defensive line and absolutely make us more of an even better, hopefully, shutdown run team. And like Tim said, we got to replace TJ Slayton. I mean, that was kind of the only that true nose or really kind of big guy we had in that middle that was kind of and a lot of players or a lot of fans kind of never, I don't think, give him enough credit. I know Ryan me and him have battled back and forth about TJ Slayton for like 4 years or whatever it is. I thought he made our team better. I don't think Brian would say that, but I want one of those just big superimposing just gap fillers. I just feel like that's what we've lacked, and I want to see us. I miss the days of even like, was BJ Raji? Did he play a lot of straight nose or one tech, or was he more of a three tech? I can't remember back.
BJ Raji was a nose in our 34 jam front. Like, he played zero tech 90% of the time, which was hilarious against the Bears when they ran a fire zone blitz and dropped him into coverage for a pick six.
That's right.
Like, you couldn't. Tim, you couldn't sell that script to Hollywood, bro. BJ Raji getting a pick six. So.
And the belly
I always miss the old dance. Remember the dance? The big boy dance? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hope BJ's doing good out there, man, for sure. Left the game a little early. Was fun to watch, though, for real.
I love that he disappeared, too. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, he don't need to be in the limelight. He don't need to do podcasts. He just – and his parents were Pentecostal. I think they were Pentecostal pastors. So he may be doing work with them. I don't know, but he just disappeared. It was. Yep. I kind of respect that when someone does that. Like, all right, man, I don't want to be in the limelight. So.
Yeah, go out on your terms.
Go get you a ring
by the horns. I love it.
Yeah, grab you a ring and get out. Right. That's what it's about. So.
I mean, yeah, like pick six. Come on, man. How are you going to top that?
Yeah, I think that's what it can only go down from here. Go ahead, Jake.
No, it's good to have Eric back in the chat. He certainly didn't miss a beat. I'll just say.
Here's the guy.
Eric. I gotta admit, I missed you though, man. I did. It's good to have you back in here.
He was the best guy around.
His keyword was all right. Number 18 on our big board, Walter Nolan, 3-tech out of Ole Miss, projected draft position mid first round as well. He seems to be rising here lately a little bit based off what I'm hearing. It says 2024 stats, at least at the time that these were collected: 6.5 sacks, 14 tackles for a loss. Ole Miss Walter Nolan checked in at 6'4". Let's see if that makes sense here. So 6'3" is what it says on the combine card, but it says at the pro day 6'4", 305. So somewhere around in there. He was a little thinner for the combine too at 296, it seems. Displaying rare athleticism, speed, bend, and power. A former 5-star recruit. His breakout 2024 season makes him a mid first round talent with room to refine his technique. Obviously, we ain't got a whole lot on him there, but man, I'm telling you, boys, with Greg Cosell saying this is the best defensive tackle in this draft, meaning better than Mason Graham as well, I shut up and listen to that stuff. Jacob, what do you think about Walter Nolan here, man? Would you be okay with him at 23?
I would, yeah. I've gotten more and more interested in listening to Greg Cosell and really just understanding that the guy knows what he's talking about. And again, I'm kind of been a sucker for this Ole Miss squad too. So anytime we can throw a few rebels over there on the squad, I'd be down with that. And again, I just feel like that he was, if I remember correctly, he was like the perfect blend of having pass rush ability and run stop ability, and kind of having the perfect size frame for what we want, graded out extremely well. I would be pretty excited. And I think it's probably the most realistic fit at 23.
Yeah, I can see that. Tim, what about Walter Nolan, dude? How you feel about that?
One of like 6,750 players from Ole Miss that are probably going to be monsters in this draft. I would agree with your point, Jacob, that, maybe he's the most realistic, prospect being on the board at 23. And, I'm going to give no complaints if we pull the trigger on him if he's on the board.
Yeah. All right. Eric Sutherland said Nolan and West in the later rounds would be perfect. Yes, it would. That'd be a great grouping there. In the 29 spot, we got Derek Harmon, 3-tech out of Oregon, projected draft position late first is what we're showing here. He may go earlier, though. That's just the latest that we've heard. 2024 stats is saying 5 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss. You guys fact check that. Oregon's Derek Harmon measured 6'5", 325 pounds at the combine. Let's watch it be inaccurate. It is 6'4" and a little less than 6'4.5". 313 pounds is the actual measurement. It says blending size and quickness after leading interior lineman with 43 quarterback pressures per PFF in 2024. His pass rush savvy positions him as a late first round pick for 3 technique needy teams. So obviously with his RAS, it's incomplete, but 6'4", 313, stacking up pretty good, putting him a great composite size grade. And then the speed grade 4.95, scoring an 8.83 with a 20-yard split of 2.89 and a 10-yard split of 1.74. Many people believe this is the best pass rushing defensive tackle in the draft. I want to get y'all's thoughts on it, though. Again, we've got him in the 29 spot. I wouldn't be upset if Goody got him there, got him at 23, Tim. I wouldn't be. Yeah. That means Goody obviously sees something in him there that maybe a higher upside. Me personally, I would much rather have like a Walter Nolan or a Kenneth Grant than Derek Harmon. But what do you think?
I would agree with that, but I think Derek Harmon arguably has the highest FBI out of any of the D tackles that we're discussing. Extremely high football IQ. He's from Detroit. We won't hold that against him. You know, he's a Michigan guy. We won't hold that against him. But I think he would fit in pretty well with what Half's trying to do. And he meets a lot of these physical measurables that we talk about, the thresholds. And I like the football IQ because I believe that's important with younger players. You know, if you got a guy that stands out and grasps these concepts early on, he's going to be extremely coachable and he'll probably, develop really well. As a pro versus guys that are, raw physical specimens, they're talented and all of this, but they don't really grasp the concept. So when you get a guy like Derek Harmon, man, the guy just gets it. So that's one of the stronger attributes that I find with him. So yeah, I would not be upset at all with him being picked at 23. I don't know how far he may or may not fall, or rise really. But definitely a guy that I would want on the radar. I don't know if I'd take him over, like a Graham or Grant or a Nolan, but I do like Derek Harmon a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Deadfish says, nice arm length. Randy Cleaver says, I think that's our guy. J. Cole, if Nolan or Grant is gone, take Harmon. And then, of course, Brett, you highlighted this one, Jacob. I want Harmon, but lately in mock drafts, he is gone before 20. Yep. Everybody thinks they got a 3-tech. Very few teams have a 3-tech. There's going to be teams trying to find that next 3-tech, Jake.
Yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't mind the pick at 23 personally. I think like what Tim said, he's got that really good FBI. I'd argue he probably has the highest ceiling too for being a pass rusher type 3-tech. Because if he really can put it together, his big knock was that early in his career he didn't have a lot of production, which I guess is true. He played 12 games in 2022 at a 59.8 grade. Obviously, that's not great, but in 2023, he came right back on the scene, played 12 games, had a 78.4, and this last year played 14 games with an 83.9. So, and you talk about 43 hurries. That's a lot. That's a lot of hurries. He had a true pass rush grade of 91.2 and a pass rush win rate of 17.6%. That's very good. That's really good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, so Derek Harmon again coming in at the 29 spot. Next, we've got Tyleek Williams. We got confirmation. He is okay after the spill. We can all laugh about it now. All right, it was fun.
And it was a 3.1 on the Richter scale earthquake. That was
exactly
when he tumbled.
Yeah. Number 35 on our big board, Tyleek Williams out of Ohio State. We got him listed as a 1-tech. However, hearing Greg Cosell saying this guy can play 3-tech, he's athletic enough for it. He is projected late first, early second on the consensus mock draft database. So Tyleek Williams, incomplete RAS again, 6'2", 334. A little bit shorter arms at 32 inches, 20-yard split of 2.77 with the 9.72. We don't have the 40, obviously, but I guess they were able to get the 10 and the 20 before he fell down. So there you go. That is kind of – I don't mean to laugh. He's okay. We can laugh. That's funny. They were like, all right, at least we got the 10 and the 20 in. And that 20 suggests that's going to be a hell of a run. 9.72, 20-yard split. Like that's I mean, a 2.77, but it scored a 9.72. That's pretty impressive. Jacob, what do you think about Tyleek Williams, man? What you got on him?
Honestly, I haven't given him a lot of time, and I don't know why, because when you look back at his grades, I mean, the guy has been very consistent. 2022, 80.9 grade, 23, 77.6, 2024, 79.2. I mean, that's consistent. You know what you're getting out of the guy. He's basically an 80 player every year. Yeah, decent amount of production, 3 sacks, 2 sacks, 2 sacks, decent amount of hurries, played predominantly in the B gap and a little bit of over tackle, which is interesting. So he does move around a little bit. Few snaps at A gap as well. Run defense grade of an 88.6, pass rush grade of only a 59.8. So I think that's probably why he would fall and slip down a little bit. And a pass rush win rate of only 6.6%. So he's definitely going to be more of a run stopping guy. Fred says Tyleek is a 3, not a 1. I would agree with that.
He's actually lined up in the 1 tech in their base. So that's why we put 1 to give that notifier of, hey, look, this is a guy who can play nose for you. But like Greg Cosell said, he said, you make a mistake with people like Tyleek Williams when you try to look at the stat line. You don't understand how many double teams he ate and how much he did in that run defense for obviously the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes there. So, Tim, what do you think about Tyleek, man? If he fell to 54 somehow, some way, I'd be all about it. But I definitely don't see him as one of those people I would want at 23. You know what I mean?
Oh, I would agree, definitely. And I agree with Jacob that he's your run stuffer for sure. You know, he's going to hold that line for you, but he's not a massive pass, rush threat or anything like that. But one of the things I liked about the PFF write-up is they talked about, his power. Speed to power, as we've discussed numerous times, compact, explosive stance, allowing him to fire off the ball and convert speed to power. So, off the ball guy, this is your dude. I don't think he's going to just, explode through the line and throw bodies around and get to the quarterback, but he's definitely the guy that's going to, maintain gap integrity, and he's going to, help you out in the run fit for sure. And again, another guy that I would agree, second round, possibly even early third if he's there, sure. But I don't think you go up in the first round and try and get him. I don't think so.
Got it. All right, moving along here. We got to go rapid fire. We got about probably about 8 minutes before we need to wrap this segment up. In the number 40 spot, we got TJ Sanders, 3-tech out of South Carolina. His projected draft position is 2nd to 3rd round is what it's showing here. Now, some had him in the 1st. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, but that RAS card is helping, boys. 930, 6'3", 297 pounds, 31.5-inch vert, 904 broad jump with a 40-yard dash. I think it was unconfirmed, I believe, if that's a word. 4.99, scoring an 8.32, and his shuttle was a 4.67 with his 3-cone being a 7.70, giving him a good composite agility grade. But again, TJ Sanders out of South Carolina here, 33.13-inch arms. His hand size, 10.25 inches, with that 930 looking pretty good. What do y'all think? Y'all anything you want to add to him real quick? Do you like him?
Be a good backup 3-tech. I don't know about a starter.
Right. Maybe someone you could work into that role right in time.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I like him. He's well rounded pretty much. The last 2 seasons he's played really solid ball. Pass rush grade of 81.9, run defense grade of 77. True pass set, pass rush grade of 90.3, and he had a pass rush win rate of 12.6. Not bad for a big boy.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Next, you got Alfred Collins in the 47 spot. All right. And the Packers did meet with him with the cheese emoji. Did they meet with these other guys? I didn't even mention that. I don't think they did. Yeah. Walter Nolan they've met with. Kenneth Grant they've met with. So Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, and our boy Alfred Collins, the Packers have met with so far. Projected draft position out of Texas, 1st to early 2nd is what it shows here. And his RAS card, hand size 10 inches. It's an incomplete RAS, but he measured in at 6'5.5", or 6 foot. Yeah, I guess it's 6'5.5", 332 pounds, scoring him 9s across the board. However, the explosion very poor. 26-inch vert and 800 on the broad there, scoring a 2.59 and a 1.20. How do y'all feel about Alfred Collins and more specifically in the 47 spot?
Yeah, he's He's definitely a run stuffer, I think, too. His pass rush win rate grade is only 6.9. Run defense grade at 85. Pass rush grade is 69.8. Played some A gap this last season, almost 150 snaps. Predominantly played in the B gap and a little bit over tackle as well. So they move him up and down that line for sure.
Yeah. He played, some people said he can play 5-tech. And he may have misspoke, but I think this is the guy that Greg Cosell said, make no mistake about it, he's a true nose, is what he said. And that caught me off guard, Tim, because I remember us specifically talking about him playing some over tackle. You know what I mean?
I was going to say he was more of a D end, right?
Yeah.
That's what Drew D says, that he played some D end in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, let's go rapid fire here, boys. 74 spot on our big board. Darius Alexander out of
Here's the guy.
He's lately been projected as a late first rounder, which is wild to think about. His RAS 916, 6'3", 305 pounds, 28 bench reps. Explosion grade was great with a 31.5-inch vert with 904 in the broad, 40-yard dash of 4.9. Lacking a little bit in the agility aspect of the RAS card, but Darius Alexander, another one of those guys that I think is going to start turning heads as we get closer to the draft here.
I agree. I like everything about him except his age.
He's 20. He's going to be 25 his rookie year.
Yep. Other than that, though, I think he might be one that people are sleeping on. This is a guy I think could rise or maybe drop a little bit, beyond projections. But I think whoever drafts Darius Alexander is going to get a hell of a DT for sure.
This dude doesn't miss games, and even since 2022, there's a 77.5, 80.6, and last year a 90.1. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
No question. I don't think I'd want him at 23, but at 54, if he's there, you'd have to really think about it.
I mean, his games by week too, pretty much. Almost every single game was high 70s, if not elite 80s. I mean, he ended the year with an 80.6, a 73.8, a 81.5, and 88.2. I mean, guy was on a roll.
All right, up next you got Vernon. How would you say that? Broughton.
Yep.
Broughton. Out of Texas, 3-tech. He's all over the board. 3rd to 6th round is what I've seen here in the last month in terms of mock drafts. So somewhere between round 3 and round 6. Incomplete RAS. However, he did measure in 6'5", 311 pounds. Look at the arm length, guys. 35-inch arm length.
Jeez.
That's insane. Hand size. Get them little tiny hands, though. 9.25. What do y'all think about Vernon Broughton? Y'all got him anywhere? We got him in the 105 spot there. So.
I think it's another one of those, he played with Alfred Collins, right? It's kind of tough sometimes when you got, top tier prospects that are on the same team, same line. I think Broughton doesn't have the measurables that Collins has, as far as, like you said, the size, hand size, that kind of thing. But it's kind of a crapshoot. I think, one or both of these guys could turn out to be a stud in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting. Broughton was an 86.1, which was the 12th ranked D lineman out of 895. Alfred Collins was 87.2, which was the 9th. So they were, like you said, that was quite a double duo there.
Yeah.
All right, up next we got Aeneas Peebles. Is that how you say it, guys? Do we know how to pronounce their name yet?
I thought it was Aeneas.
Okay, Aeneas Peebles. The Packers did meet with him, 3-tech out of Virginia Tech. He's projected between the 4th and 6th round as it sits right now. RAS 704. He only measured in at 6 foot even, 282 pounds, however. The explosion grade was great, though. Vertical of 32.5 inches at 6 foot. That's pretty wild. 901 with the broad and a 494 40-yard dash. The agility did not qualify for a grade there where he didn't perform in the 3-cone, but he did score a 5.53 in the shuttle with the 4.70 time. What do y'all think about him? It seems like somebody that the Packers are on here with.
Yes. 4th or 5th round. Yes. Maybe even 3rd, depending on how you did in the first 2 rounds. If you didn't get D-line, you may want to think about grabbing a guy like this before the top tier guys really fall off the board. But I like Peebles a lot. I really do.
Yeah, he grades out very well the last 2 years. Seems like he stays on the field. Consistency. Had 31 hurries this last year with an 89.1 grade. The year before had 86.1 grade. I had 24 hurries that year as well. Predominantly played B gap. Did do a little bit of A gap and outside and over tackle as well. And a pass rush win rate of 17.8%. with a true pass rush grade of 91.2. Dude was a baller.
Here's the guy.
People's in the 107 spot. Next, you got CJ West out of Indiana. Another guy that in the base defense can play the one tech, but you want him in a 3. 108 on our big board. A 4th to 5th round projection is what it's showing here lately. RAS of 915. Only 6 foot, right? Is that 6'1"? Is that what that would be, guys? I think it would be. Yeah, right?
Yeesh.
Yeah, 6'1", little over 6'1". 316 pounds, 28 bench reps, a vertical of 33 inches, scoring at 933 there. And then the 40-yard dash of 495, scoring an 883 with a nice 20-yard split of 287, scoring an 835. What do y'all think about CJ West around the 108 spot the Packers have met with him?
I mean, he'd talk about consistency. Since 2022, his grades have been an 80.1 and 85.9. This last year was an 83.8. Seems like he plays pretty much the whole time. Missed a little bit of time, maybe. It looks like maybe last year in 22. A gap, he played more in the A gap in 2024 than he did in the B gap. 219 snaps at A, 198 at B. The year before, he was predominantly B gap, and the year before that, predominantly A gap. So the guy's been versatile. Pass rush win rate of 10.1%, run defense grade at 88.1, pass rush grade of 72.9. I would take that all day.
And people see the arm length and go, no way. He's a tape guy, though. Sound like he's a tape guy.
Yep.
All right.
I put him kind of at that top tier of like, guys like Jordan Phillips from Maryland. Deion Walker is another guy. I think CJ West is probably at the top of that kind of tier of D lineman in this draft for sure.
Got it. All right, so CJ West again, the 108 spot. Next is at 124, Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. Late first round is what we were showing here lately, which was crazy.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And it was weird, too, because as I was combing through, some of the dates get shuffled around, not in the order, and I'm almost positive I double-checked that, too, that there was a couple of mock drafts here lately that had him going late first. Now, again, you guys remember when we did the breakdown on him, how he was like, when we had the chart, he was in the upper right. I'm pretty sure he was leading all defensive tackles when it came to pass rush win rate or something like that. It was something crazy that he was in the upper right, maybe a combination of run stops with pass rush win rate, something like that. But RAS card is cheeks, 5'7", 6'1", 291, 31.5-inch vertical, 905 on the broad. And the 40-yard dash, he looks slow as well, 517.
Yeah, give me CJ West all day.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. That is interesting, though. The guy, he has a pass rush grade of 81.6, but he has a pass rush win rate of 18.9%.
Dang. All right.
It's crazy.
All right. Next, here's a guy, Deion Walker in the 126 spot.
Yeah.
Now, the latest projection I'm seeing is 2nd to 3rd round. With him being in the 126 spot on our board, I love me a Wildcat, but I can't subscribe to it, man. I'm sorry. 6'7", 331 pounds.
Thick.
Arms 34.25-inch long and 10.6 on the hand size there. Vertical jump of only 25, though, scoring a 173. But that's a whole lot of boy to try to get up. The bench press is what caught me off guard. I expected more than 22 reps, but so there you go. We got to go rapid fire. We were way behind here. Thor Griffith, I will give you a chance to talk about him, though, Jacob. In the 140 spot, he's projecting 6th to 7th round here this year. And again, with the RAS being incomplete, hand size was 10 inches, arm length 31.5, 6'2", 305. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, this is just probably my late round draft crush, maybe of all the players this year. Thor Griffith has just graded out unbelievably well. He is one of the unique cases where he's actually went down in grade each of his 3 years. But when you start in 22 at a 90.5 and then come down to an 89.2, and this last year finished with an 84.3, you're still kind of like, okay, that's legit. Run defense grade at 84, pass rush win rate of just about 10%. So not the best, but he seems like he's more of an anchor, run stopper, and every now and then, could maybe flash and get you a sack or two. But I'd be totally pumped in the later rounds to get him.
All right, rounding out these lists, we got Jamari Caldwell out of Oregon, projected 4th to 5th round, a 3.43 on the RAS. It says, final thoughts, 2025 defensive lineman class is a treasure trove, features elite talents like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and Walter Nolan, alongside versatile mid-round prospects like TJ Sanders, Alfred Collins, and Deion Walker. From immediate impact starters to upside depth, high upside depth. This group offers solutions for every defensive scheme. As the draft process unfolds, these linemen will be pivotal names to watch for strengthening NFL fronts in 2025. So there is your defensive tackle breakdown, and that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour two. We appreciate y'all.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome back. All right. It's a smooth transition right there, Tim. I appreciate it.
Good.
So, all right. So we hit the defensive tackles, obviously. That was a lot of fun. Did we learn anything? Is there anything that stood out to you guys about that little process, or did we kind of feel like, got a good grab on where this defensive tackle class is?
I think we got a really good grab on it. That was a great article, man. It kind of summed things up. There's a few names that, we didn't have in there that may or may not rise or fall, but I think that's a good, in a nutshell, breakdown of those interior D-line guys.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think what I learned is that even though we may want to grab one in the first, there's options in the draft.
Yeah.
If we for some reason the draft board just doesn't work the way we want it, and either there's a better prospect that's not a D tackle, or the cookie don't crumble the way we want it to, I think we have more than enough options in the second, third, fourth, and even later.
Even beyond. Tim Smith out of Alabama comes to mind. I mean, we even talked about Riley Mills.
Cam Horsley.
The kid from Ole Miss. JJ
Pegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that one for you, Tim. You ready for this?
Yep.
Pugese.
That's another one at that bottom tier, top of the bottom tier of that defensive tackle crop right there.
I got pronunciations wrote down like a third grader over here. Savon. I'm over sounding it out. Pugese. So, all right, let's move along to the next topic. You guys seen the poll question on YouTube. If you had to choose between these four prospects, which one are you drafting with the 23rd pick? The choices are Jahdae Barron, Kenneth Grant, James Pierce Jr., or Emeka Egbuka. In the YouTube poll question here, Kenneth Grant leads the way at 55%. Second is cornerback Jahdae Barron at 23%. Then edge defender James Pierce Jr. With 12%, and Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, at 9%. Now, on Twitter, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a lot closer here. And so I asked everybody on Twitter, same thing, Green Bay Packer fans, if you had to choose between these four prospects, which one are you drafting with the 23rd pick? There's always knuckleheads that jump in the comments and go, none of them. All right, I got you, sourpuss. Get out of here. So here's how it landed on X. Wide receiver Emeka Egbuka leads the way at 29.4%. Edge defender James Pierce Jr. at 27.4% in second place. Kenneth Grant in third place at 19.2%. I'm sorry, Jahdae Barron in third place. Cornerback out of Texas at 24%. And then Kenneth Grant came in last year at 19.2%. I want to hear y'all's vote real quick. And we got an article to get to on it.
Of course, the fans want us to take a wide out in the first round. Of course.
I'd rank them in this order. I'd go Pierce Jr., Barron, Grant, and Egbuka, just because I don't think that Grant's realistic. I like James Pierce Jr. just too much. But if the scenario is that I know for sure Jaw's not there, I go Jahdae Barron 100%.
Got it. All right, so here's what we did with this. Put together a piece over on our Patreon group. You guys want to join our Patreon group? It's growing like a weed. Having a lot of fun in there. Just hop over to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. For $3 a month, you get access to everything on the site. It also gets you entered into giveaways, which we are still looking for Chewy. He won the autographed Mason Crosby card. And up next, y'all going to like this one, boys. An autographed rookie card of Javon Bullard. All right, so we got a Javon Bullard autographed rookie card. It's going to be the giveaway this Saturday. Make sure you're a member of at least the $3 tier. We'll put you on the pinky wheel and spin that sucker live Saturday night on the show and give that card away. Just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the Patreon group. Here we go. 4 prospects that could be available for Green Bay at pick 23. This was the vote we just showed you guys, okay? Here's a breakdown of those prospects. When Green Bay makes their choice with the 23rd pick, there is a reasonable chance these players could be available below our scouting reports on each, along with their ranking on our PTA big board. So James Pierce Jr. is the highest of these 4 on our big board. All right. He obviously edge defender out of Tennessee. James Pierce Jr. is a dynamic edge rusher with explosive speed and a relentless motor, making him a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. He's slightly undersized, but compensates with elite quickness off the line and a rare ability to bend around tackles. His knack for generating pressure stands out as a top tier, though he's still refining his run defense, showing noticeable improvement in holding his ground against blockers during the 2024 season. Pierce projects as a potential top 15 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft with a double-digit sack upside at the next level. The RAS here, 940 at 6'5", 245, 31-inch vert, 10. It's 10.03 broad jump, scoring a 9.23. So he's got plenty of explosion there, even though the vertical didn't suggest it. 40-yard dash though, 4.47.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's nuts. Hand size 10 inches even, and then his arm length 32 3/4. And then we can scroll back up to this in a second. Look at the PFF grades, guys. In 2022, only a 68. Then in 2023, became a starter. He jumped all the way to 90.4 overall defensive grade. And then in 2024, stabilized at an 87.1. His pass rush grade last year, 89.4, with a run defense grade of 84.1 and overall defensive grade, like we said, of 87.1. We can scroll up or stay right here. Talk to me about James Pierce Jr. Y'all good with him at 23?
I would be. I feel like he's just explosive. That 4.47 speed, you can't coach that. And if he coming around, I feel like that we've lost the ability to have a really good specialized speed rusher. I don't think we've had a true one since. I mean, honestly, that's why I love Brenton Cox so much, is because he just reminds me more of like the old school prime Play Matthews, where they just had that guy that was bendy and twisty, and you had to watch him shoot around that edge. And I don't know. I'd be really excited to see what he brings. The only thing I would be hesitant with is that the guys that I like right now are in such a deep rotation that I don't see them on the field as much as I'd like to. So what kind of impact is James Pierce Jr. going to come into an already solidified, I'd say 4-man rotation right now between Gary, LVN, Kingsley, and then my boy Cox. So is Pierce Jr. going to go in there? Who is he going to take snaps from? Or does that mean everybody's on a smaller rotation even still, which I know that they like apparently because they keep him quote unquote fresh. But man, I'd love to have a guy that's more of like a Max Crosby where he stays out there for 100% of the snaps. It'd just be insane.
Yeah. Pierce is a dog, man. If he's on the board, you got to think about taking him. You really do. As bad as I want a 3-tech or somebody, on that D line early, I'm not opposed to James Pierce at all.
Yeah, H.E. Solders makes a great point here. He says, do the Packers think Pierce can hold the edge? Seems like the plan is to get a bigger at defensive end. Well, the Packers set up a top 30 visit with him, right? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. And Solder isn't saying this, obviously, but many people, they immediately, if it's a player they don't like or a player they don't think the Packers, well, that's a smokescreen. That stuff happens. But we had 10 of the 11 players that we got last year in the draft process, whether it was a UDFA or a draft pick. The only player we didn't have a top 30 visit with was Marshawn Lloyd, I believe. Everybody else were top 30 visits. So we can kind of put that to bed a little bit. I don't think Goody's wasting all these top 30 visits on smoke screens. And again, Solder isn't saying that. But Solder, here's how I look at what you just said. What was the big complaint about our edge defenders this year? It wasn't stopping the run, right? It was getting after the quarterback. So here you got a guy who's a pass rush freaking demon, and we're going, he's not really big enough to play the edge. I know you're not saying that. You're asking, do the Packers think he can hold the edge? That's where I get frustrated because it's like, man, we gotta decide here. Do we want to get after the quarterback or not? You know what I mean?
Well, so that's where do you see him as being more of a role player, especially early in his career, where it's like it's a second and third down guy. When you know what I mean? When especially a third and long, you get this guy back there, pin his ears back, and he's a little undersized. We talked about, man, there's plenty of Culvers. He can hit that up, a little cheese curds.
Bro,
honestly, think about. I was gonna say, you throw 10 pens on him, all of a sudden 6'5", 253 sounds like all right. That's just fine,
Cheese curds and my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
All right, let's move it along here. Next on the list, we talked about a little bit earlier, Kenneth Grant in the 13 spot. Kenneth Grant is a massive interior defensive lineman who combines brute strength with surprising agility for his build. Greg Cosell talked about his agility like, people think he can't rush the passer. They're going to be surprised at the NFL level. This dude can move is what he said. So it says he excels at clogging run lanes and collapsing pockets. often requiring double teams that free up teammates to make plays. Think about Mason Graham. Why did he have so much success? It could have something to do with Kenneth Grant playing alongside him, right? While not a prolific pass rusher, his ability to disrupt plays in the backfield is invaluable, and he's shown growth in his hand usage and technique through 2024. Projected as a mid-first-round pick, Grant profiles as a dominant force who could anchor an NFL defensive line as a high-impact selection. Obviously, the RAS we talked about, a 717. Here are the PFF grades. In 2022, 72.7. 2023, he jumped to an 80.4. In 2024, he climbed even higher to an 83.7. Had a pass rush grade of 75.3, run defense grade of an elite 87.5, scoring that 83.7 overall. Tim, you have the floor, sir.
You're muted, Tim.
My bad. I was over here watching Kenneth Grant highlights. My bad. Yeah, again, I mean, all these guys we're going to break down. We shouldn't feel bad about any of them at 23, honestly. But, you know, obviously this is one of my favorites here. I just don't know, you know, how hopeful I should be that he's even on the board at that time. But I would be all for this pick right here. This was my vote on the poll. I think we need to get better in the trenches, and this would be a really good foot forward.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where every year there's about 10 to 15 players that I just don't give the time of day because I don't want to get my heart broke. You know, I don't want to get interested just to see him go to, you know, number 6 overall or something like that. So he's one that I just haven't invested a lot of energy in just because I don't see him lasting past 13, 15. You know what I mean? Right. It's just I just don't. He's too good for that. Ron Sanfel says Grant, a gift from the football gods. Jim
Harbaugh said, yeah, his old coach. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the kind of thing. It's like, you know, obviously Jim Harbaugh saying that, you have to imagine there's 31 other teams right now in the league saying, I respect Jim Harbaugh quite a bit. If he was that integral to that guy's defensive scheme and plan, you know, that just seems to me like a lot of guys are probably salivating. Defensive coordinators that are like, I could plug and play that Kenneth Grant right in the middle of my defense. And so Greg
Rice with the random facts here.
My bad. I hit that on accident. I was trying to put that.
Leftover pizza in the air fryer is amazing.
Yeah, that's clutch.
Those are facts.
I wanted to hit dead fishes here. Big DTs don't usually have good RAS scores, but Grant is big and he has a high RAS.
That's true.
Yep. Good point. All right, next, it's one of my favorites right here, boys. Number 15 spot, Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas.
Here's the guy.
Jahdae Barron is a versatile and instinctive cornerback who thrives in multiple roles, including outside corner, nickel, and even some safety looks. His physicality and football IQ allow him to excel in both man and zone coverage with quick feet and a knack for jumping routes. Barron's toughness shines in run support, though he can occasionally get caught out of position against elite speed. Projected as a mid-first round pick, he profiles as a reliable day one contributor with CB2 potential and possible CB1 upside in the right defensive scheme. That sounds like Jair on draft day right there. I'm just
sure does.
Barron RAS card is an 8.62. He measured in at 5'10", a little over 5'10 and a half, right there where Jair was. Weight 194, 40-yard dash 4.39. Go ahead, Jake.
I just can't not give Bates some credit. Before we moved on, he said Kenneth Imodium Grant stopping the runs.
Ooh,
that's pretty good, man.
Put it on the ticker
like that.
Hey, that's pretty dumb.
That Marine Corps sense of humor, you gotta love it.
All jokes aside, though, I'm kind of siding with Randy. I'm starting to get swayed that if we don't have Ja, it kind of narrows this decision pretty easily for me. But if Ja's there, it does actually make it more of a difficult decision. I really do like Pierce. I would imagine there's going to be a grouping of guys that I really would be fine with, you know what I mean? Run that 23. That's why it's going to be so frustrating if, in typical Packer fashion, if something's like, we got 10 dudes, you know, that we're waiting to hear, and we're like, any one of them would make me happy. And all of a sudden there's going to be a name where you're like, that wasn't one of them. Why are we doing this? But Jahdae Barron is increasingly becoming more, and we've talked about the cornerback class just in general being a little bit light this year, especially when you look at the top end talent. They are riddled with injuries and other sorts of things like that. Jahdae Barron seems to be one of the best fits for our team that also doesn't have a lot of red flags, whether it be injuries, off field, whatever the case may be. He just seems like he is the guy right now.
Yeah. So PFF over the course of his career in college in 2020, 64.3, jumped to a 77.3, fell back a touch to 76.9, then fell back to 71.5. Then last year, absolutely broke out 90.7. This is what Greg Cosell talks about, an ascending player entering the league. Sometimes magical things can happen when you get that type of player. What I love about it, man, is the coverage grade 91.1. Obviously, I mean, through the roof elite, and then the run defense grade of 83.1.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go. That's probably my guy here too. If I had to pick, if Jair's gone, this is the dude I want at 23. Will he be there? Only time will tell. I have a feeling that one of these four will be there. I'm excited to see if that happens. Next on the list in the number 19 spot is Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver at Ohio State. Emeka Egbuka is a polished slot receiver with exceptional route running, savvy, and reliable hands, making him a quarterback's best friend in timing-based offenses. That is what Matt LaFleur's offense is. It is timing-based, choice route central. You want a dude that Greg Cosell talked about. This dude plays and talks like a 10 or a 12-year vet. He said a 10-year vet, but he said he's going to be a good player in the league for 12 years. I firmly believe that. And he's talking about the smarts, and he can run every route on the tree. It's just kind of like a Puka Nacua, a lot smaller though. A Puka Nacua, an Amon-Ra St. Brown, those type of guys that just have a knack for getting open and catching the damn football. It says he lacks elite top end speed, but wins with quickness, fluid hips, and the ability to separate underneath and in intermediate range. His 2024 season marked a strong bounce back after an injury-marred 2023, highlighting his value as a chain mover with some yards after catch ability. Egbuka could thrive in a system like the Shanahan tree, at LaFleur's offense, drawing comparisons to players like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and is a likely first-round pick. Again, he's not my top choice, but with a 9.72 RAS and knowing how this offense operates, him and Jaden Reed paired up on one side and them rotating playing F and Z, that's an exciting thought. So that's why, like, him sitting in the 19 spot, I would not mind that pick at all. Wouldn't be my top choice, but if those other three guys are gone and Emeka Egbuka sitting there at 23, sign me up, man. A 9.72 RAS with 4.48 speed, 38-inch vertical. And he did measure in at 6 foot, a little over 6 foot and a half inch is what it looks like, and 202 pounds. So he's actually thick. So what
would you say to Mr. Cleavers here? Says we already have slot receivers.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, big misconception about slot receivers in the Shanahan offense. Many times you have the Z who motions into the slot. And you'll hear us refer to him as the F. The F was traditionally supposed to be a fullback tight end hybrid that'll flex outside, come in the backfield, move back outside. Well, guess what? That's what Jaden Reed does, so he's our F. So when you put those guys out there together, what essentially ends up happening, and Greg Cosell breaks this down tremendously, when you've got nasty splits, those nasty splits meaning everybody's inside the numbers, inside the numbers on the field, those slot receivers end up being outside receivers, meaning they run corners in wolf concepts. They run out routes in wolf concepts. They'll run a slot fade. We've seen our boy Jaden Reed do it time and time again with the slot fade. Or like we talked about, a very deep post. Go back and watch the Rams game. It's very, very interchangeable in Matt LaFleur's offense. It's not a West Coast spread Mike McCarthy offense where, that guy can't line up playing a damn near a Baylor split lined up all the way over on the sideline, right? Nobody's saying he's a boundary X, but what do you got at X? You've got Romeo Dobbs, you got Tay Wicks that can play X, and you got Bo Melton that can stretch the field at X. If you get somebody like Egbuka, they can no longer key in on Jaden Reed on those jet sweeps or that Z motion, F motion, whatever you want to call it, to where they can run those outbreakers. Again, would I rather have a 6'8" wide receiver that runs a 4.3 40? Absolutely. But Emeka Egbuka, I'm telling you, boys, mark my words, you're going to look back in 5 years and go, damn if he ain't a good wide receiver. It's going to happen. But go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
No, that's I agree completely. I wanted you to kind of spell it out there, just so you did a great job. That's exactly what I was looking for there. Coach Lynn says if we reduce formations, then we can mix and match. He also goes on to say that Emeka is a good blocker. Also, I mean, he just seems like an actual puzzle piece fit for this Matt LaFleur offense. It really does.
Clayton hit it on the head, man. If this guy's on the board at 23, you really got to think about taking him. You really do. Of course, that means my dreams will be crushed and no Jaden Higgins for us. But I would not feel bad about Emeka Egbuka. Luther Burden III out of Missouri. That's another one that comes to mind, that type of receiver. But I think Egbuka is the premier talent there in that crop. So if he makes it to 23, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if we go wide receiver in the first round, this is probably your guy.
Yeah. And again, you guys remember we covered this in real time. The Ohio State Pro Day, where was Goody at? Showed him right on the front row, in front of all the other scouts standing there, watching him jump that vertical jump, Egbuka. He's all over Egbuka right now. So the stars have to align. There's other players I would much rather have than Egbuka, but if he's the best available according to our board at 23, sign me up, man. I'm all about it. H.E. Solder makes a great point here. He says, need Musgrave to click this year in the worst way. If you can get Musgrave to click and flex him out, boy, that would be a nice way to try to get a little bit of that missing element back from Christian Watson being gone. That's a big body guy who's got decent speed. Let him get out there and work the perimeter a little bit. I hope they allow him to do that. I really do. That's a great point there, Solder. So in terms of the PFF grade for Emeka Egbuka, boy, the voice is going bad. 79.5 overall offensive grade. When you go back to 2021, here are his grades: 72.8, 83.1, 72.9, although it did sound like he was had some injuries he dealt with in 2023, if that scouting report was correct. And then in 2024, he jumped up to a 79.5. He never had a bad year the whole time at Ohio State. So played for a big-time program. He knows what it takes to win a championship. They did that last year. He was kind of one of those safety valves for Will Howard with that national championship team that still pisses me off. They beat my Irish. But boy, oh boy, did they get the job done. So that's Emeka Egbuka. Any other thoughts on him, gents?
Nah.
Jaden Higgins in the second round instead. Let's go.
Hey, I'm with you there. If James Pierce Jr. falls, James Pierce Jr. in the first, give me Jaden Higgins in the second, I'm good with it. Kenneth Grant falls, give me Kenneth Grant in the first, Jaden Higgins in the second, I'm good with it. Jahdae
Barron, yep.
That's why I highlighted these four players. Yep. And really, I like that on Twitter. The vote was so close. It's like people are really thinking like, yeah, these are probably four pretty good picks. So
Tim, by the way, when y'all were talking about sizable receivers, just want to let you know, Daryl wanted to let you know that Higgins has that height. He's 6'4". I don't know if you knew that, Tim.
Breaking news.
Learn something new every day.
That's right. Chris the Casual Win says, Clayton, can you see Barron playing outside? Not a few snaps. He played outside in 2023 and then kicked back inside, or he played outside in 23 and then kicked inside in 24, if I remember correctly. So that's the big thing on his scouting report is he's got the versatility. He can play inside, he can play outside. So if you do get to a point where at some point you go, you know what, let's play cover 2 lock, or let's play whatever lock you want, a cover 3 lock, and you say, let's put a guy on their number one receiver in man coverage, everyone else be in zone. That can be the guy that can do it because he can line up inside, he can line up outside, just like Jair. Jair could do that throughout his career, especially in his prime. I'm telling you, man, when you watch his tape, go watch Jahdae Barron's tape, and you'll go, that looks just like Jair Alexander. It's amazing. He's thick like him too. You know what I mean? You can tell he's built strong. Jair would play the run until he hurt that shoulder, you know? And look, who can blame him for thinking twice about it now? It may have cost him the rest of his career, right? I mean, he's not been the same player since, and he's not been truly healthy since then. So again, here's the parting thoughts. All four players will be great value for the Packers at pick 23, filling positions that are considered a need for Green Bay. Which do you like the most of these four? Let us know in our favorite draft prospects chat here on Patreon. So you guys chime in there. Let us know which of those four you would rather have there. And that's pretty much it for that. So we were going to do a mock draft for visits only.
Yes.
Can we do that in, say, I don't know, 17 minutes, you guys think?
Yes.
Everybody says yes to the mock draft. What'd you say, Tim? Did you vote no?
No, I said yeah, we can do it.
Good deal.
This is courtesy of Aaron Rodgers. Not the Aaron Rodgers, our Aaron Rodgers, correct?
That's correct, sir.
On my knee.
So if you could read that Do you have it? Well, actually, I can read it. I think I've got it right here. Here is what he sent me earlier today. And Aaron is I don't even know if his name is actually Aaron. I'm assuming it is. He always gives great ideas, a great avid listener of the show. He said, based on the visits and meetings, I feel like we're looking at cornerback edge early, wide receiver in the middle rounds, and O-line middle late. I said, I agree. He said, I got a mock recommendation for the show. Do a mock with only players who have met with the Packers. Okay, Shrine, Senior Bowl, Combine, top 30 visits. So you guys can't see my board, but I've got it pulled up off screen here. Okay, we're going to keep the mock draft on screen. Let's get this thing cranked up, and I'll tell you the best available. If you guys will read me the best available, I'll tell you who met with the Packers, and we'll see if we can do this in an orderly fashion. So here are the players that are available right now, right? You got what? Kelvin Banks, Jahad Campbell, Colston Loveland, Malachi Starks, James Pierce Jr. There's no reason to look any further. That's definitely the highest on our board if we go off our board, okay? In terms of players that the Packers have met with, he ranks the highest on our board in the 11th spot. We've met with him with a top 30 visit. We met with him, I think, at the Combine. He was a captain, and he meets the threshold other than the weight, if that makes sense. So is there any other players you guys want to see here, potentially?
No, I think that's the pick right there.
There's Derek Harmon. You can get Derek Harmon in the 29 spot, but he did not meet with the Packers. So this has got to be the pick, right? That's it.
Yeah.
You good with it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
James Pierce Jr., edge defender out of Tennessee with the 23rd pick. All right, let's see who's available now.
Ooh.
All right, so we got Ariante Ursary, offensive tackle out of Minnesota. Landon Jackson, edge defender out of Arkansas. I would have been fine with that right here. Yeah. Travion Henderson, Ohio State running back. Quinshawn Judkins, Ohio State running back. And Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. There's Tyleek Williams and Alfred Collins on the board. So if we go down, Kenneth Grant's obviously already gone, right? Shamar Stewart, I imagine, is gone. Let's just double check. Yep, Shamar Stewart is gone. Go back to all here real quick.
I don't have our board pulled up. I can't see the cheese emojis.
Right, I got you, man. Jade Barron is gone. Colston Loveland, is he gone? He is gone, right? Okay, Colston Loveland's gone. Next on the list would be Walter Nolan. He's gone. Then we got Jahad Campbell, boys. Jahad Campbell still here? He gone too, ain't he?
No.
Wow.
So Jahad Campbell did go in the first round. That's interesting. All right. Next, you've got Mikel Williams, edge defender.
I think he's gone too.
He's gone. This is interesting, man. All the guys the Packers have met with going early. Ezaraku, he is gone. He's next. This is interesting, man. Savon Ravel Jr. He gone.
Wow.
All right. Next on our list is Matthew Golden, wide receiver.
Oh, he gone.
He gone. And it looks like Jaden Higgins is gone.
Oh no.
Jalen Noel. You could take Jalen Noel.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what matches up here.
What about Besh?
I thought we met with Noel.
Trey Amos is next on our list. He's gone. Man, Alfred Collins is next on our list, boys. That would be the best player available.
All right.
Where's Tyleek? I thought Tyleek was higher than Alfred Collins. No, Tyleek. Oh, we didn't meet with Tyleek. That's why.
Yeah.
So Alfred Collins would be the best on the board here, boys. What do we think?
Then we got to take him. We got to stick to the parameter, right?
Got to. Yeah. Now we don't have
to get a D lineman. Let's go.
We don't have to take best available on our board. I'm just letting you know what's best available.
Wait, did we meet with Jack Besh?
Jack Besh, I think we did meet with Jack Besh, actually. He's significantly lower on our board, I want to say. Where is he at? Actually, he did climb up recently. Where is Jack Besh? Jack Besh is in the 78 spot for us, Jake. No, we did not meet with him, according to this, unless I haven't got it updated. So,
Alfred Collins, you are a Packer.
All right,
come on down.
So with the 54th pick, Green Bay Packers select defensive tackle out of Texas, Alfred Collins. Got an
Samar Turner. No, we got to pick, right?
Let's see here. All right, so best available, Cameron Scatabo, Will Howard, Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, Isaiah Bond Packers met with him, didn't they? Let's see what lines up here though. Jaden Higgins is gone. Princely Melon, he is gone. Right.
Jared Ivey.
Harold Fannin Jr. the Packers met with.
He gone.
Is he gone? He is.
Yeah,
gone.
he gone. Dang.
Hey, I think Goody's onto something, boys.
I think this is proving Aaron's point here that Goody's meeting with a lot of guys that are, probably going to be off the board pretty early here.
I agree. Benjamin Morrison's obviously gone. We just passed him on our board. Jalen Royals is there. So the highest on our board in the 80 spot that met with the Packers is Jalen Royals.
Let's
now
go.
we
kind of like this.
Yeah, we met with Isaiah Bond too, right? That was the top 30 visit. So where is Isaiah Bond? Let me just search. That'll screw us up. I better not. I want to say he was higher
than Royals.
Yeah, Isaiah Bond's in the 127 spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jalen Royals is the guy, boys.
Let's go.
All right, so we got us a receiver. That's it. What's this end up being the draft? You know what I mean? It makes so much sense.
We need a corner though. We need a corner like nobody's business here.
God, you ain't kidding, dude.
Charles Grant though. Did we meet with him?
Need an old lineman too.
Yeah, let's see here. Edge Braden Swinson, is he still there? Braden Swinson's gone, right?
He gone.
He's picking up steam ever since Howard or Greg Cosell talked about him. God, he's picking up speed. All right, we got Ozzie Trapillo. There he is on our board. Ozzie Trapillo is 91st on our board. We have not taken an offensive lineman yet, right? So he is the best available according to our board that the Packers have met with.
Take him. Boston College guy, another high FBI guy. I like it.
Close to him is Danny Stutzman, right below him, linebacker out of Oklahoma, and then Chris Paul Jr., linebacker out of Ole Miss. Those are the next two. So yeah, I think it's probably
Ozzie.
Ozzie, you are a Packer.
All right, look at that A+ right there, gents.
Ace.
So with the 124th pick, the Green Bay Packers select offensive tackle Ozzie Trapillo out of Boston College. All right. We might get us a corner now. Chris Paul Jr., is he still on the board?
Oh, man.
He is not.
Have we met with Zy Alexander?
If we have, he's lower on the list. I can't see it just yet. So let's see here. Didn't we say Danny Stutzman? Yes. So Danny Stutzman actually will go up a couple here. Danny Stutzman will be the next best available here for us at 94. Here we go, Tim. Zy Alexander we have not met with according to our board.
Damn it.
So doesn't it kind of feel like Goody's saying, might get Jade Barron with 23 if he ain't there. We're good at corner.
Yeah, we're not taking a corner at all then.
Wouldn't that? Oh my God! Could you imagine Packers Twitter? God, they would burn it to the ground. What do y'all think about Danny Stutzman here, boys? Is that the pick we want, or do we want to? If I were to go down a couple more, Chris Paul Jr. is a linebacker, which I think he's already gone.
Did we meet with Kobe King?
The chat is really asking about Riley here. We got a bunch of people asking about Riley.
Quincy Riley.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Quincy Riley. Let's see here. I'm going to have to go way down. Remember the number for me, okay? Remember 22, all right? Don't forget that. So Chris Paul Jr., Jalen Noel, Aeneas Peebles, C.J. West, Elijah Roberts, Jacob Bayer, R.J. Harvey Jr., Jared Wilson, Isaiah Bond, Jacob Parrish. Jacob Parrish will be the next corner best on our board. Then Kobe Bryant behind him.
Then we're not taking a corner here then.
All right.
Linebacker?
Yeah. So if we go back to 22, the best available according to the players that the Packers have met with on our board will be 94 Danny Stutzman. People are going to hate that, man. People are going to hate that pick.
I like Danny Stutzman.
Cool.
I do too, but I think they're going to look at you got Christian, what's his name, Christian Welch back, right? You re-signed Isaiah McDuffie. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with
Welch is at camp every year.
Hopper.
What's that?
I thought Christian Welch was going to make the 53. I
would have bet the farm on it last year. They cut
me too, and it didn't happen.
All right, so we're just going to go Danny Stutzman for sake of time here, boys.
I'd be cool with
yeah,
that.
I think so.
All right, everybody sounds so depressed with this pick. Look at that A+ right
A
there.
plus
Ricky
A.
feel a little bit better.
All right.
Did y'all know that Kobe King is Kalen King's brother?
King's brother, yep.
I did not know that.
My eyeballs are on fire right now from this slide. I'm just telling you, I'm so close to the screen. Oh, my God. All right. Let's see. Chris Paul Jr. is gone. Jalen Noel, is he gone, boys? He's long gone, right? Yeah, he gone. Next, you've got Peebles. Peebles still there?
How is Malachi Moore still on the board?
Malachi Moore. What position?
I don't even know
underneath.
who it is.
CJ West is next. He's gone. Man. Elijah Roberts, edge defender from SMU.
Ooh, I like that. He gone.
Gone too. This is amazing. So glad he had us do this. Jacob Bayer, center, is next on our board.
I like that.
All you Goody haters out there, he's getting an A+ right now rating, just so you know.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing about Jacob Bayer. We can come back and get him, unless y'all just want to do it in the order of the board. What do you think? Should we cheat a little bit?
That's a big stretch.
It's a big. It's going to get an
150 points or spots. I feel like we should come back.
All right, please don't let me forget. Pick 250. We're going Jacob Bayer. Okay, 250 Bayer.
How are we going to forget about that guy?
That guy right there with that cowboy hat. Look at that Stetson.
I mean, look at the Stetson on this guy. That's custom made. Come on now.
All right, going on down the line. R.J. Harvey Jr., running back from UCF. The Packers met with him. That's interesting. Let's see if he's on the board anywhere. Not that we would take a running back. I'm just curious. R.J. Harvey. Sound like a radio host, don't it? R.J. Harvey with the 4 o'clock news.
He's like a NASCAR driver.
Hey, is Noah Williams on the board?
Noah Williams. Come at our board. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about,
Dude,
is he available?
I really like Elijah Huzzy. Did we meet with him?
Noah's gone, Tim.
Damn. But we met with him, right?
Oh, man, I have no way of knowing right now.
Okay.
Because I got the cheese pulled up right now. Jared Wilson is next, center. So we like our boy Bayer better than him, so we're going to pass on that right now, right? Isaiah Bond, is he gone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he long gone, ain't he? All right. Who's next? Jacob Parrish. Please be there. He's gone. Damn. We are in trouble at corner, boys. Kobe Bryant. Kobe gone too?
Oh, yeah.
He gone. All right, next. Tyler Barron, edge defender from Miami. There he is. Do we double dip at edge, boys?
I feel like
we
it's
have a
useless.
choice.
Yeah, 152 on our board. You know, if I scroll down a touch, the next cheese emoji, they're getting thin now, gents. The next one will be Jordan Phillips, and he's way down there. So
Tyler Barron, you're a Packer.
Tyler Barron, edge defender out of Miami. Got a B+ on that one for a late pick. Not bad. All right, so we got one more pick before we got to take Jacob Bayer, right? Next on our list is Jordan Phillips, defensive line.
I think he's gone. Yeah.
He's gone. Next is Bryce Cable-Dew, offensive tackle. Packers met with him. Cable-Dew is gone. That cable must have been due.
Cable guy.
Just make sure he's not a guard here. Oh, there he is. Bryce Cable-Dew. 336. We're going to get bad grades on these, but if we're sticking to the script here, boys, we're going Bryce Cable-Dew here. Right?
Let's do it.
D+.
Yeah, ugly. And then interior offensive line, Jacob Bayer. We almost missed him. Look at that. Got close. And got a D for that one.
Right.
All right. So, again, please, if you're hearing my voice, I know you're going to get into YouTube comments tonight. I'm going to get notifications, and somebody's going to go, boy, y'all really screwed this strapped up. Understand it was an exercise. If we stuck to our board with the players that the Packers met with up to this point, all right, this is what your draft would look like. With the 23rd pick, you go edge defender James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. With the 54th pick, you go defensive tackle Alfred Collins out of Texas. 87, you go Jalen Royals, wide receiver out of Utah State. 124, Ozzie Trapillo, offensive tackle out of Boston College. 159, Danny Stutzman, linebacker out of Oklahoma. 198, Tyler Barron, edge defender out of Miami. 237, Bryce Cable-Dew, interior offensive line from Kansas. And in the 250 spot, Mr. Stetson, Jake Butler, possibly the center of the future there at Arkansas State. Now, there's going to be other people that say, so-and-so doesn't meet the threshold. Then why did the Packers meet with him? I'll just leave it at that. All right, so there's that draft. What do y'all think about it, boys? Let's get ready to wrap up here. What do y'all think about that draft?
I think if this is the draft, Jair better be a Packer.
You got that right, Tim. What do you think, Jacob? It was
going
good.
It.
Yeah, it was going good.
I was going to say up until about maybe the 4th or 5th round, that's where I kind of starts to fall off a little bit for me. But honestly, if those are my first 4 picks, I'd be content. I would.
Yep. I think so too.
Fred McFarley says Mandy calling a cab to the airport to go move back in with her parents right now. Actually, her parents moved in with me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
She has nowhere to go. I know she's watching downstairs right now. That's playing the long game, boys. That's what that's called. Okay. All right. Any parting thoughts? We're way over. This was a lot of fun, man.
No, this was
a good
great.
exercise.
Yeah. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers. That was awesome.
Great idea. And he said he's got his on Twitter. Do me a favor, Aaron. Tweet that out for me if you're brave enough. Tweet that mock draft out and tag me in it, and I'll retweet it so everybody can find you. They'll follow you on Twitter and also check out that mock draft that you kind of how you ended up hitting on it there. So, all right, that's it, boys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us tonight. Hit that like button for us. Subscribe to the channel if it's your first time in. We had a bunch of people in here tonight. This was a blast. If you want to join our Patreon community, scan the QR code in the upper right or go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Giving away an autographed Javon Bullard rookie card this Saturday for one of the lucky Patreon members. Again, just got to be a member of the $3 tier is all. There's been multiple people join here lately and get like on a $7 tier and pay extra. We appreciate you supporting the show. Thank y'all so much. You're free to do that, and it's greatly appreciated. But just understand, $3 a month, you get access to everything that we do over there. So, and Tim's in there now, so y'all better straighten up. All right, he's not. He'll be in there. He'll be in there like this. Somebody says something out of line, Jacob. You know how it's going to be, man. He's gonna walk into the moderator chat like that right there.
Oh.
Nah, it's cool, man. Everybody's been awesome over there. So everybody have a great night. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 7 p.m.
There we go.
All right.
Bye, guys.